Okay, so I've been wanting to do this video. I don't have two ways of plugging in well, first of all, I don't have two speakers. So you'll have to, let me turn this up. I'll have to use this one with the iPad speaker, and then this one will come out of the actual speaker here. So the purpose of this video was, it's kind of for me actually, but I'm doing it to let everybody see. Because I think I did a video not too long ago. I think it was back on the 19th. I did one with Drambo where I talked about Drambo, OPZ, OPXY, electron step sequencers, basically showing that you could use this particular app, which you can, to do very similar stuff that you do in here. In fact, I feel like these are probably somewhat of a closer clone than most of the other, but it's still, if you'd have to put OPZ, of course, in there because it's kind of the thing they took most of the stuff after. But in Drambo is kind of like a blend of the electron workflow, this workflow, as well as the some Ableton vibes where you see you see each one of your devices, and then it has the clip-based workflow. So they're all kind of similar. This is a step sequencer, so it's primary function. I'm not going to go through everything. Watch the other video where I talk about that. But I just wanted to say some of the things I feel that this is missing that could be in there. And the biggest is everybody's probably gripe, and I hope this comes sooner than later because it's the one thing that will make me want to keep this or not, right? So I like it for doing the step sequencing for drums. Is so fun and easy to do. This is the same. It's easy and fun to do. The hardest thing with this one for me is right now is the way everything loads. They made it so complex in the loading screen with the subfolders not really being subfolders. Like you can have a subfolder, but then it's like it's a sub outside of the US, and you can only have one folder with the samples in it. You can't have multiple folders inside of this. I'm not even going to go into that. But my idea was I'm going to show you some of the similarity things that you can get from here to here. I didn't turn on the light this time because I felt like the last one, the screen was too bright. And what it did was it put a glare on this screen. So I'm going to leave it off on this video. But here's this inside of here. There is if you click this button, you'll see under generators, there is a wavetable oscillator. Okay. Then you have to add a processor, which is like some type of ADSR on the end of it, so it doesn't just ring out. It's where you control the sound. And what's cool about this one is you could drop literally any sample into here. So it has your basic, you can see here basic wavetables, and you can scroll through the positions, which is kind of what this is doing, giving you some real basic. Okay, so here's basic. And then you can scroll, there's positions here where you can change that basic, right? And this is kind of what that is a real basic one. Of course, you can stack and scroll in and do stuff here, and you can use this position button here. And then you have a phaser, a tuner, all that stuff. And you kind of got warp over here and drift. It would be cool if they shift here and let you see more options in here, but you do have an amp envelope, a filter. You have this, oh my gosh, filter. And then you have, so this is the filter envelope, and then that's the filter, I believe. And then there is the LFO that you can use to modulate and stuff like that. So if you want an LFO in here, you just click here on, I think it's under processor, if I'm not mistaken. There's delays, all kinds of stuff. Filters for the wavetable, etc., vocoder, etc. I'm not going to get into everything, but you can add, I don't know if it's under miscellaneous is the LFO. I forget which one it is. But all these things it might be math. But, oh, modulator. No, it's got to be modulator. Yeah, there you go. Envelopes, right? LFO, there you go. So you can add an LFO to it. I'm not going to do all that, but you could do it. There's a wavetable LFO right here where it's there. I don't know if this wavetable LFO is its own little instrument thing. I'm not sure. I don't use it often, but I'm just saying you got all that stuff in there. So everything you need is in here. And it's basically, this is going to be limited because it's in a device that they only have so many features they can add right to it before it maxes out. Whereas this is in a app and you can do a lot more because obviously you have more RAM. Obviously it's a faster, the processor is going to be faster than what's in there. But anywho, you get the idea. Now what this is missing, in my opinion, outside of having this sampler, which is a one-shot sampler, if you want a one-shot sampler in here, you go to generator, and in here there is a shot sampler. That allows you to load one shot in and you can use it to play. You can tune, offset, or add more to it. But more often than not, actually I should have left that on there so you can see it, do the shot sampler. There's also, I'm gonna pull the other one up. It's called a sampler. So you can edit the zones in here, kind of like with the multi, I won't say it's a multi-sampler because it's not, but it sort of is, or you can edit and move stuff around. I never use it, but it is in there if you want it. But the shot sampler is cool because you could put a one shot in there or an instrument and then just play it, just the same way you would do it here. The multi-sampler, I showed you that already. And then they have all these other ones in here, you know, excuse me, like the organ, a drum sampler. So in here, you wouldn't have a drum sampler, but you could use anything. I mean, obviously inside of here, you could use Koala. If you just want to stay in here, I would say just use the one shot. But to get multi drums, then I would say it's probably better to use this sampler and then just add in the zones, I guess, that you want to do and figure out how you want to record there. Here's your recording part here where you can set the inputs, activate it, etc., etc. But yeah, anyway, so going back to the one shot. All right, so flexi sampler. Flexi sampler is what it's called. It is amazing. You can record directly into it, or you can load a sample into it by picking any sample. I'm just gonna pick something, this one right here. Then you can touch the screen and now you can go in and start placing markers, or you can set slices by how many or detect transients, and you'll see it'll do that. Remove all slices, or you could do something like that, right? And the idea is, right now it's playing the same sample over and over. But if you go here and change it to note, now it'll play based on which note you hit. This probably isn't the best example because it's kind of just a shaker, the same rhythm going through it. But you could also do random and set this to trigger just a slice. So every time I hit one slice, doesn't matter what I hit, it's going to, let's just set this around 100, that's fine. And then it's gonna play a different slice every time. So, oops, I didn't mean to do that. So in my opinion, they need Flexi Sampler in this. They need to make it where you can bring any sample you want in here, chop it up how you want, because I can go in here and move these around. And you know, they could do something simple as this. How many slices do you want? So these are auto set slices, right? So 8. They could do detect transients. And they definitely need, at this price point, need to put in here a basic time stretch. Now listen, you might say, well, time stretch, that's a lot. Listen, Koala did it, okay? It's not the greatest time stretch, but Koala has a time stretch. And it's Koala. It's an inexpensive sampler, right? So it doesn't have to be something that's extravagant, but they could start out with something like Koala. Or any sample you pick, you can go in and just hit stretch. And you can set how many beats you want, you know, up to a certain amount, of course, because it's only going to do so much. But you at least can stretch a sample. Time stretch a sample. So how they choose to do it, well, they'll have to figure that out because I'm not a developer. But I'm just saying that if you can do it in Koala, which is a little inexpensive sampler, then you can do it in this. I mean, there's got to be a way. You can do brain AI stuff to try to switch chord progressions, which is cool. Don't get me wrong. It's a cool little feature, but I would have rather them focus on sampling than that. That to me is just kind of like, okay, I don't know chords, so I'm going to go in here and learn to use a machine to help me figure out how to switch the chord. It's a cool factor and all to have to transpose and change stuff like that, but I much rather have a sampler. Um, it's a lot less limiting using a sampler. And yes, you can, like I said, you got the one shot sample thing in here where you can make a one shot, it spreads it across the keys. But Koala has that too. I mean, you can put any sample across the keys and it'll spread it across the keys. So it's not really a highly, and I mean, you can do it in this too. I mean, put an instrument in it, load in a sound. Here, load. So we'll use this, whatever. I don't even know what this is. Trim the sound down. I'm going to trim it to about right there. All right, cool. That's fine. This isn't the best example because this is more of a, and it's very clicky too. So I'd have to go in and fix that, but tell me we'd have to really listen to the whole thing. No. But anyway, the point is you can do that in here too. You can put a sample in and play it across the keys. All right, so where are we going next? Well, we can't change and say this has instruments that this doesn't. You could go into that in depth. We're not going to talk about that. I'm talking about the stuff that allows you, that are basic things that you use because Dissolve is, well, it's more like a pad, in my opinion, a way to make a nice pad. Granulated sounding pad. So you can use effects to do that, which there are in here. You could use other stuff to put a pad in or make a pad of some sort. That's in there. Of course, you could start with the wavetable and start building stuff. But my point is that these two things are so similar with the step sequencing. I mean, I showed you guys this before, but you know, you got the gate, the offset, the probability, the retrigger, all the cycle, what it's going to go through. So it's all there. It's just a matter of, do you want to work on a screen or do you want some more tactile buttons? And that's the biggest difference, in my opinion. And the Flexi sampler, which is can't be stated how great and how important that is. It's just, here, I can put this in, or put this in. I don't even know what this one is, but yeah, I can't state how. I don't even know if it's gonna detect. Sometimes it doesn't detect transients, but here, let's do this. Edit. Go back and trim it down, and then we can set some slices. I'm just gonna pick 8 slices. Just the speed pitch. I know it's harder to hear. I'm trying to be quiet too when I do it, so. So anyway, you get the point. This is on trigger. I'm gonna do gate. Now, you can argue which one sounds better. That you're gonna have to try it yourself because you can't do that through a YouTube video to say it sounds better because it's really subjective to what speaker I'm plugging in, to what cable you use, to what, there's so many things that you could go into. And also the iPhone that I'm recording with, right? So I'm recording with a phone. So there's so much compression and things going on that you can't really, but I can tell you in person it doesn't really matter because this is a sample, number one, and this is something else. This is a synth that they made. So 2 different things, but that's not the point here because again we have Let's go back to, let's see, I thought I had a wavetable here. Let's put the wavetable on. Put some attack on. Adjust the phasing. Some unison. And I don't even have anything on here. I mean, of course I could go in and put a filter. I'm not trying to make these sound exactly the same. I'm not a sound designer, but at all. So I'm not even going to try to act like I am. But the point is that you do have filters in here. This one don't even have a filter on it. And of course, there's delay and reverb on this too. So I'd have to put delay and reverb on this one to make it work and sound the same or even come close. But the point is that you have filters, you have those things. They do look different in here, of course. And this is more in my opinion, this is more interesting looking, but this is super capable if you want to do this type of workflow or use these same type of vibes, right? And Drambo can get really deep if you have the ability to go that deep. I don't mentally have the ability to sit there and do that. I'm more simple-minded when it comes to that kind of stuff, I'll say. But here's the point: is that you both of them have a clip view. Okay, both of them have. Here, let me show you this right here. They both have a master channel of some sort that you can do, which you can go into here and do mastering. This is your mixer, but on this one, your mixer is the main channel, right? So here's your mixer, there's your mixer. So again, it's what do you want to look at? Do you like this type of color? You can change the colors of tracks, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I think you can change those colors. Presets. I haven't messed with that color change. I really don't care. When I get in here, I just do the work, just make a song and get out. Probably the same thing I would do here. I wouldn't be sitting here worried about too much of the track color heads. I mean, in this thing, you're just going across. You got 8 tracks and you do what you got to do with those 8. You start here with 8 tracks, same thing, and you do what you got to do. You have 2 returns. You got 2 returns. That's basically what these are. Your effects 1 and 2 is your returns. Effects 1 and 2 returns. So you can go into the effects slot, go here, click on it. If you hit shift here, or is it shift here? Shift here. And then you can pick which ones you want on there. Same thing over here. They give you delay and reverb as your effects starting out. I have to be honest, I hadn't even touched any of those. Not too worried about it. Most of the time I just use whatever they're set on, turn the effects off if I don't want it on. And I'm fine with that, right? Because that's like the least of my worries here when it comes to making music. I'm not, when I do need effects, even on Ableton, I use very limited amount of effects. It's usually reverb, delay. Every now and then I go with maybe some chorus. If the plugin I'm using doesn't have it in there already, right? I'll use the stuff inside the plugin most of the time, which like Omnisphere and all that has its own effects. So I don't add a lot of other effects to it unless I just really just feel inspired that I need that. So I can say that when I use Drambo, I do use it more as a performance tool. However, Drambo has the ability to record out, stem out your parts. This doesn't. So that's kind of, if you're going to stem out here, you're going to have to mute and record out each part. So maybe you don't like that. Then you know not to get this until they decide whether they're going to do an app or something that at least let you, or at least put it in there where you could just export, your your different sequences or something. But hopefully they do that, because I think it would really enhance this. I mean, you went this far and you put all this clips in here with these different scenes. If you can do all that, you might as well let people just export their scenes or export individual tracks, and then they could build scenes. What would really be cool, and I know a lot of people might not like this because then they feel like they'd be forced to Ableton, but Ableton, if they put like Ableton Link and Ableton, like an export to Ableton project or something on there, then you could send this, you could send your parts out to Ableton, get right in Ableton and start and finish up the work. Would be pretty cool. But since they don't have that, at least just makes a simple export where it exports into a folder, all your parts. And then you can take your parts. I mean, I know you can't name them, so that's kind of a downside to this, because it just says 1, 2, 3, and over here, even though it says that, you can click and rename the part, right? So you have no way of renaming these parts. Like if I wanted to go kick. So it would be cool if they found a way to do that. I doubt they'll do that. They'll probably always keep it simple at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you'll just have to know, you only got 8 parts to memorize anyway. It's not that complicated. But just a way to export parts would be cool. And then you could always figure out later where you want to put those parts. Or maybe you could rename the parts when they're in the folder after you've exported them or something like that, you know. Anywho, just wanted to show you a little side by side. I hadn't done this. I talked about it in a video with just Drambo, but I thought it would be cool to at least put this on camera side by side to show you there's very similarity. So just to recap real quick: mixer, mixer, right? Each track, and here's your tracks here, right? Tracks. Reverbs, you're gonna go into your this, click here. Now you see your AB. So you could have a delay here and have a reverb here. Same thing. Delay, reverb, or whatever effect you want. You can have multiple effects on these reverbs. Unlike these, you only get one, right? One on each one. So it would be nice if they let you stack them, stack a couple on each one and kind of use those sounds together. But whatever, it's probably not going to happen. So the way I would think of that is, if it was here, there would be some type of little arrow. Because see how you can go in here, and I don't know why you can, but you can put this, an LFO or a filter and a LFO on the effect. I don't really know what this is for. I think it's just to, oh, I do know what it's for. It's to tell you, it's each channel, each track, and then you can tell it how much of it you want on it, I believe is what it is. So it gives you a way to increase or decrease it to all go out. So that's all that is. It's just a visual of that. I guess there's some validity having it here, maybe. If you wanted to take it off or turn it off, maybe. I just don't know the rhyme or reason for it. But yeah, same thing here. So there's a lot of stuff in there. I'm like, I would rather, instead of having a filter and an LFO on here, like, I mean, I guess there's some reason for that. I would, and this, like, I really don't need that either. Put that on the mixer page with a track or whatever on the mixer, where you can see it on the mixer. Because you already can go into those on the mixer, see? See how I can switch there and adjust that, how much of that is on that. Yeah, you see it all there. All right, so let's get out of here and go to back to where we were, which is here. Okay, so I would rather, this is me personally, them have 4 effects on one that you could put on an A, or on this effects 1, and 4 on effects 2. Because then, and then you just go between your effects, and then you could order them however you wanted them ordered. Then I could use those effects. I would think the effects would be more useful to me, because if I wanted 2 reverbs or something on there, I could have 2, or 2 delays doing different things. I can have them, you know. So to me, that is something that I think would be better than putting an LFO on there. I guess there's a reason. Or maybe you could choose an LFO or choose a filter on one of these, but you could have up to 4 things. So it could be a filter, two effects and a filter and an LFO, or 4 effects, no filter, no LFO, something like that, where you have a little more freedom to select what you want on those 4 parts. And that would be amazing. That would give you 8 effects total I mean, they're already, if you look in here, what is it? Hit that. You only have 5 in here now. I don't know what that 15 stands for, to be honest with you. Um, I don't know if that means it's track 15 or what that is. Oh, yeah, because that says 16. So because there's 16 total, right? There's 8 tracks, regular tracks, and then you have these effects tracks with all these different effects things going on. So you basically have, this is number 16, 15, 14, etc., etc. And so that's what that's saying. But anyway, with this AB, you know, you can stack as many as you want. You can build a whole rack here. So this could be like a rack. 1, 2, 3, 4. And in that rack, it could be, like I said, 4 effects, or you can, if you want LFOs on those effects, you can do whatever you want. But you'd have up to 4. That would be a little more useful in my opinion. All right, so we touched on that. So we already said that. The master, I showed you guys the master. There's your, well, technically your mastering is here. You got the effects. When you click here, you have the effects. The EQ, that's the EQ. You have the saturator, which is great. And then you have these 3 options with your compression, which is basically all I need on most of my masters have those three things on it. So I'm kind of good with that. That's sufficient to me. And this has your pan. You have left, right, how much is going to be in each side. So it's basically that, and then the pan of which way it's going to sit in the track. And then of course the volume of the track where you can adjust. So all of that's available to you. I think that's cool. Over here, of course, you're going to have way more because you got more options. You can put together racks and do different things. But it's the same principle, same vibe. We talked about the sequencer, and this one is right here. It's clip-based, same thing, clip-based. And you can have, same principle, you can have different ones for different parts. If you don't work like that, then this will be very hard. Both of these can be very hard to use for you. But the way I look at it is, I create my parts, and then like I haven't used this that much, but if you go shift here, then you go into song mode, and then you can put your parts, you can put your different clips in the order you want them to play. And you kind of got that over here where you have your parts, and then here's each clip, and then you can duplicate parts, etc. Put them in the order you want them to play. Yeah, so same principle, how you look at it. So that's it for this video. I wanted to show you that. So don't feel like you gotta go buy this unless you just want it. Just because you need, there's no other step sequencers. There's plenty. This works on the iPhone as well as the iPad. It works really well. You can sit there and build your racks, do what you want to do, get your step sequencer thing going. And you can use Koala if you want, right? So you could throw Koala in there, sample your parts into Koala, and then use that. This works in AUM. The only thing in AUM, you can't use other, in other words, let's go, get out of that. Hold on. In AUM, you can't use AUV3. So here you could go, I want to use a generator and I want to use an AUV3. So you got options. In AUM, you're going to have to use the AUV3 outside of Drambo. But you can use their Flexi Sampler. If you learn Flexi Sampler and you like it, you can use Flexi Sampler in Drambo in AUM. And that works pretty good too if you prefer to use that mixer. Otherwise, you just use the mixer in here, which I think works fine. And that's what you got. All right, so I think I've shown enough on this. I still haven't decided on my own personal level whether I want to keep this. It is phenomenal when it comes to step sequencing and the step components. I think that part of it is amazing. That's my favorite part, right? That's the reason why I like the device, wanted the device. I never wanted a step sequencer till I learned Drambo, and then it's piqued my interest. So I say try Drambo first. If you like Drambo, if it's just like really your thing and you grow to love it and appreciate what it can do and where it takes you, then maybe down the road you look at something like this or the Electron boxes if you want that type of workflow and a more intricate hardware piece of gear type vibe. So that's it for this video. Appreciate you guys. I know it's long. I've been trying not to go that far, but I'm gonna end it right here. I'm out.